Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we are jumping straight into a totally fascinating explainer. We're going to deconstruct a piece of everyday kitchen design that literally perfectly marries form, function, and safety. We'll be looking really closely at a single, incredibly detailed visual that captures a moment of culinary innovation right in the middle of the action. So if you appreciate clear explanations and clever design as much as I do, you are definitely in the right place.
Let me just start off by asking you a really simple question. What do you think is the absolute most dangerous tool in your kitchen? Seriously, think about it for a second. Are you picturing a mandolin slicer? Maybe a blazing hot cast iron skillet? Or, one of those high-speed blenders with the terrifyingly sharp blades at the bottom? Well, while those definitely have their risks for sure, the truth of everyday food prep usually comes down to something way more fundamental. It's a tool almost every single one of us uses every single day, and honestly, it relies almost entirely on human precision just to avoid a trip to the ER.
Okay, let's dive into this. The answer, as you probably guessed, is the standard kitchen knife, right? It is the absolute essential tool for any cook. But just think for a moment about the inherent tension of how we actually use it. When you're chopping ingredients, you're repeatedly bringing this razor-sharp steel edge down with a lot of force right next to your very own exposed fingertips. It's kind of this crazy collision of human evolution and culinary arts. I mean, our hands are perfectly positioned to just accidentally catch that blade if our attention slips for even a fraction of a second. And, well, that's exactly the problem we're going to solve today.
And here is the visual evidence of a really brilliant solution to that exact problem. Rather than leaving bare knuckles totally exposed to the knife while, say, chopping up a bright orange carrot, the cook is equipped with this sleek, metallic armor. It completely changes the entire dynamic of the chopping process, taking a potentially super hazardous task and transforming it into this perfectly safe, highly controlled slice. Just to make sure we're all on exactly the same page, let's ground our understanding of what these actually are. These are known as finger guards. They're basically individual protective metallic shields that you wear right over your digits to prevent accidental cuts while you're slicing. Now, rather than dealing with some big, bulky glove, the design here is super modular. You just slip them onto the fingers that are holding the food, putting a literal wall of metal between your skin and the cutting edge of the knife. Pretty clever, right? Let's treat this like a bit of a forensic scene and systematically break down exactly what we can observe here. First off, you've got the metallic construction. It's most likely stainless steel, given that really smooth, reflective finish. Second, these aren't just solid thimbles. They're actually attached using individual, ring-like slots that wrap neatly around the back of the finger. Third, notice the contoured shape. The metal curves just beautifully right over the fingernails, basically mimicking the natural slope of the human hand. And finally, there are these very distinct, specific cutout markings on the face of each shield. Now, what's really interesting here is the specific detailing of those cutouts we just noticed. If you look really closely at the index finger, the one closest to the actual blade, the metal guard has 3 curved horizontal slits stacked right on top of each other. But check out the middle finger, the ring finger, and the pinky. They feature a completely different design. Those 3 guards have this little dot cutout right above a straight horizontal line. Honestly, it almost looks like a whimsical, minimalist little face staring back at you. These varied perforations probably help reduce the overall weight of the metal and allow the tool to flex or breathe a bit. But visually, they give a totally distinct character to the index finger compared to the supporting fingers. Which brings us to a really fundamental rule of good design. Form entirely follows function. Everything we just observed in that metal, it's not just for show. That ergonomic curved shape over the knuckles acts almost like a hinge. Because the guards are individual rings rather than some stiff, solid plate, your fingers can still bend totally naturally to curl right around that carrot. The design totally respects the anatomy of the hand. It acknowledges that, hey, to cut safely, you still absolutely need to be able to move organically. So let's see how this all translates into the actual physical motion of chopping. We can build a quick micro-narrative of the action happening right in front of us. Step 1, secure the vegetable. You can clearly see the thumb and those bare fingertips tucked underneath, holding the carrot super firmly against the wooden board. Step 2, form the barrier. The fingers wearing the guards are curled inward, presenting those metal shields right up front. And step 3, glide the knife. The chef brings the blade down, not blindly guessing where the edge is, but actively sliding it right against the flat face of that metal. I want to draw your attention strictly to the interaction between the knife blade and that index finger guard. Just look at how incredibly flush the flat side of the knife sits against the smooth curve of the metal shield. I mean, this is the real magic of the design. The guard isn't just acting as some passive wall to stop a mistake, it's functioning as an active guide. By resting the side of the blade right up against the metal, the user gets these perfect, uniform slices of carrot every single time, with literally zero risk of the blade slipping and catching a knuckle. And this brings up such a brilliant contrast, the grip versus the shield. You might be wondering, why not just wear heavy, cut-proof gloves for the whole shebang? Well, look beneath the metal rings. The fleshy pads of the user's fingertips are left completely exposed. And this is absolutely crucial because it allows the cook to maintain total tactile control over that slippery carrot. They can actually feel the food, gauge its texture, and hold it securely. Meanwhile, the vulnerable top knuckles, the parts that naturally lean out toward the knife, remain completely shielded by heavy-duty steel. It is just the perfect compromise between delicate dexterity and ironclad defense. So the crucial point we arrive at is this. The tension is the blade, the resolution is the metal shield. We kicked off this explainer by talking about the inherent danger of a super sharp knife moving rapidly right next to our hands. That is the tension that exists in pretty much every kitchen around the world. But here, through this incredibly clever, structured, and modular design, that tension is entirely resolved. The metal shield completely neutralizes the threat, but, and this is key, without taking away any of the actual effectiveness of the tool itself. Let's take a step back and look at the full, clear view of this chopping action one last time. This brilliantly illustrates the complete story we've just been unpacking together. Now, with fresh eyes and full context, you're not just looking at a pair of hands on a cutting board anymore, are you? You are seeing a perfectly orchestrated system of safety. You see the tactile grip underneath, the ergonomic metallic curves, the distinct cutouts on the index finger versus the supporting fingers, and of course that precise, guided interaction between the steel blade and the protective shield. All of it coming together to result in perfectly uniform, bright orange carrot slices. As we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought to carry with you. We've just seen how a few small, carefully shaped pieces of metal can completely eliminate one of the most common dangers in everyday food prep. So I have to ask you, how might other simple design interventions solve the everyday risks that are just hiding in plain sight in your own routines? What other metaphorical sharp blades are you navigating daily that could maybe be resolved with a cleverly designed shield? Keep an eye out for those elegant solutions out there in your world. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next explainer.